Hi, welcome to Awakening Warriors podcast, where we talk about life, love, lessons, and learning. Um, this week has been pretty routine for the most part. I feel like now that we're getting settled in, so every week we get a little more and a little more settled in regards to doing stuff. So that's good. Started out working on the basement and finishing that. Um, Started working on another project with my work, building a casino essentially, and yeah, that's about it. So you're in the full swing of things as far as your work.
Yep, this week was my first
Full week.
full week there.
So yeah. So that's what's going on in our lives. One of the things that I really didn't. I'm basically going off the cuff of stuff, but this year I choose a word every year. This year it was perspective, and I forgot what I was watching, but long story short, I thought about the concept and basically the capability of transferring perspective. So let's say, for instance, left wing and right wing, let's say political views, right? So, for instance, each person has a different perspective, and they're at this day and age drastically different. Um, so now, as an individual that wants to be persuasive, right? Let's say you're a left winger, because I'm always right.
You literally almost slipped and gave me right, and then
I
had
know,
to go back
I
and fix
did,
it.
I did think about that. That's why I think before I speak. And so you're a left winger, and I'm a right winger because I'm always right.
We heard you the first time.
My uh, my job per se, right? My responsibility is to share my perspective and get you to understand it. So life is a lot just about sharing perspectives. About changing your philosophies of life, your ideals, any and everything that you can think of. And that's I feel like that's just a lot about what life is about.
I have a question for you because that makes me think about empathy, kind of. And I don't know if this is really connected or if it's just my therapist brain making a connection with this, but because if you're willing to share your perspective with somebody, do you feel like empathy plays a part in that in order for that other person to even somewhat understand where you're coming from? Do you think that matters? Do you think that...
Oh yeah, I'm sure in a different situation because you can have very simplistic and logical things like I can show you on paper that this is how it works. 2 plus 2 equals 4. When you always thought 2 plus 2 equals 5. Well, here I can show you this plus this, and then that, and I changed your perspective. Maybe you just were misinformed or held this belief because of whatever reason. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, definitely empathy, depending on the particular situation and the topic and philosophy is all about, because for instance, my whole concept, and this is kind of leading. This is why I said we can just fucking get rolling, and we'll get rolling. For instance, I listen to certain people, right, so that I can understand their philosophy or perspective. Like I listen to Peter Schiff about finance. I listen to Ed Mylett for different things. I seek their perspective. So they are willing to share their perspective, and I am seeking their perspective. So basically, it's just a trade of perspectives, and he's influencing me, and this guy's influencing me, and then I'm being influenced of their perspective, and therefore I have a new perspective.
Is that a trade though, or is a trade more so literally me, you in person? Because you're getting their perspective, but they're not getting yours.
Yeah, but basically I'm just yeah, there's not a trade per se.
It could be like a transfer.
It's a transfer, yeah.
Then you can have that perspective that you got from Ed Milet and then share it with me, and that might make me go, oh, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, yep. I was just because I like to think about life in the simplistic, in simpler views, you know, because everything's so noisy and complicated, and you know, and like that's such a simple concept. Just like I think, you know, for instance, like energy is such a simple concept. And this is a whole nother thing, but I'm thinking like, okay, cool. I eat this, and you have to start somewhere, right? This doesn't even necessarily mean that it starts here. I pull this food out of the ground, and that takes energy of mine because I'm physically doing it, right? And then that food provides me energy because it nourishes my body. So it's just a giant cycle, you know, and then my waste goes to the ground and nourishes the plants that produce energy. So that waste energy goes to the plant energy, and then, you know, it's just a cycle. But you could go like if this chair took energy and stuff like that. But it's a totally different topic, but it's just a simplistic view of reality, you know. So yeah, that's where I was going. But anyways, the whole concept of sharing perspective. Like I am always interested in I guess I'm not in all people's perspective, I guess, by any means, because I'm just like I shrug off people's perspective. Like kind of the concept of Sean talking with Ed Milet, and Ed Milet saying that you can make people feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, no matter what, you always make people feel a certain way. And like he's like, well, fuck. That was like it was a profound moment for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that makes me think about like confirmation bias kind of, and I don't know again if this is like tangent kind of, but like especially with algorithms, because if you're a person who's super comfortable with this type of perspective, as humans we tend to seek that out because it confirms what we already believe. And just algorithm wise speaking, like if you do that on Facebook, if you search a certain person and then you search someone who's kind of like them and someone who's kind of like that, you're going to always be fed that kind of stuff. And then I don't remember if it was on that Social Dilemma documentary, but like somewhere I heard that you should also seek out people who think like completely opposite beliefs of you, because then you, like perspective wise, you may not necessarily agree with them and everything that they're saying, but you're still getting in front of some of that, which is good, because if as humans we always constantly want to seek a perspective or a belief that fits what we already believe or our perspective, then there's not going to be any like change necessarily as rapidly, because it still can change. Because if you're looking for Ed Milet, you're looking at Jesse Itzler, or you're like looking at Sean Whalen, like that can still broaden your perspective and change things and make you think of things in a different way.
I think it all depends on the topic, because if one guy's pushing or talking about truth and honesty and whatever, that doesn't mean I should go out and look for like lying and whatever else. So it all really depends on the topic, because I mean, if you whatever you program, like I don't want to watch a fucking scary movie just because I watch a comedy movie either. You know what I'm saying? Obviously that's a drastic
yeah, I get what you're saying, because then you're like feeding yourself that, which that's not what you want.
Correct, but I don't necessarily disagree with you, because, you know, for instance, like if I listen to this other person that has this different perspective, you know, about like the economy. This guy says, and which I do, this guy says the fucking housing market's going to keep booming. And this other guy says, oh, well, the fucking housing market's going to crash by 50%. So I more so listen to the people that like basically, because it makes more sense to me. So I hook on to why they like are saying these things, and I'm like, okay, that logically makes sense. I want to hear more about this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm open to hearing and about, you know, why this guy thinks, you know, Ken McElroy doesn't think that the prices are going to plummet as much as, you know, fucking George Gammon, you know. Well, so I'm like, oh, why, you know, because they both have respectable, you know, what do you call those, qualifications?
Oh.
You know,
Like a
like this
trip
guy's got 8,000 doors, and this guy's you know a multimillionaire as well. So I mean, like, okay, cool. Like now I'm interested in knowing why this guy thinks gold is going to be bad, and this guy thinks crypto is going to be good, and this why you know vice versa and shit.
And I think like outside of finance and politics, but also like one that just popped in my head, which might seem silly, but like people who think that the Earth is round, people who think the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
Like, and that's again kind of a silly example, but I also think as somebody, people who want to like have influence and make a difference, you have to be aware of that complete other side also. Because if you're just out there, you're gonna make more of a difference. You're gonna be able to, and that's where I think some of those things is where empathy comes in, because I don't know, as humans we attach to things, and so if we attach to certain values or beliefs or perspectives, sometimes that can like completely close us off to others, but also it might close off like conversations from the get-go if you're not even willing to hear somebody who's like, well, I believe the Earth is flat, and you're like, well, you're effing stupid, so we're not even going to have this conversation. Again, silly example, but
yeah, I'd always be willing to interest, because obviously they have so much evidence that they believe that. You know, like, oh, you must have a lot of evidence in order to fucking believe that. Like, or strong arguments, I should say. You know what I mean? Like,
or
the
they
world is
don't,
flat.
and like to have that conversation could still be good too, because if they have this belief, just we had this conversation earlier, if you hold this belief just because your parents did, just because your grandparents did, just because their parents did, like,
Yeah.
well, why is that your belief?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or why is that your perspective?
Yeah, that's for sure. That's fair. Should have this chair. I noticed as soon as the second they're fucking we started the video. But yeah,
I just didn't realize
and
this one was so quiet.
And being able to essentially, you know, being an individual that can transfer perspective, like, you know, almost transfer feelings. That's what a good speaker does. A good speaker can transfer a feeling and make an audience feel a certain way. Well, a good, Dale Carnegie, we literally just saw the book today, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like, if you are a good influencer, you can, show somebody a specific, or share with somebody a particular perspective, and get them to actually, you know, even believe it, you know. So, you know, if you want to be in...
At the very least, even consider.
Yeah.
And that's how, like, you and I, we use conversation, like, I'm open to the possibility. Because just because you're telling me this thing doesn't mean I'm just going to eat it up and not question, but, like, I'm open to that being a possibility. Because it is. Everything's a possibility. So if my perspective is you're being an asshole today and I tell you that, like, you're being an ass, blah, 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 like, okay, I'm open to that being a possibility. Doesn't mean that you're going to completely accept that and just, oh, I'm an ass. Okay, that's what she said. Like.
And Werner Erhard was the one that said that. Can you stand on the possibility? Mm-hmm. You know, can you stand on the possibility that this could be true? I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's not. But, you know, are you open to the idea? You know, just in general, especially in today's climate, you know, it's just, and I'm very more so right-winged than anything. I know, right?
Really?
Yeah. Newsflash.
Really?
It's fucking shocking. You know. So it's challenging for me, especially because some things it's just like, fuck off, you're dumb. You know what I mean?
And that's what like closes off those conversations. But
I think some conversations need to be closed off. You know, and obviously I can say that in things, you know, like racism. Don't fucking talk about it. You want to fix it? Stop talking about it. It's that fucking simple. Stop. Shut the fuck up. You're just fueling that
but then,
bullshit.
Does that mean that you... Because I'm like taking the perspective of somebody who feels like that's a huge issue in our world, then you're just not even going to go there. Not even going to have that conversation. Not even going to stand on the possibility of this person's perspective.
Yeah, but you also have to understand. So there's different topics of different things. You have to be intelligent enough to know what to talk about and what not to talk about. You know, like, this is a very small population of the world probably, but people that want to transgender, or that think their children can identify as this or that, and at fucking the age of however old, I don't think that should be even a topic of discussion. you know.
And that's where I have a hard time, because whether or not you want to have that conversation, those things are happening. So if you're not willing to have those conversations, they're going to meet out more people that confirm what they already believe. Like, that is out there. So just because you don't like it, like, oh, I'll just keep my blinders up and not even, and I understand that, because we've had these conversations around, like, what you feed and what you, like, gas on the fire is going to make it bigger. I get that. But then if people like you, who maybe believe complete opposite, are not going to have those conversations, where are they going to hear that from?
The whole fucking world.
But that goes into confirmation bias. As humans, we tend to seek out things that already confirm what we believe. That's what our brain wants to do. It's comfortable, it's safe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think...
And I'm not saying...
I think that's a complicated topic, I suppose. I think racism is a slightly easier one to fucking break down, personally. Because it's almost proven. You know, like, I mean, there's even...
it's like the war on drugs made the whole situation worse.
Yeah, it was never about
the war on poverty has made things worse.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big fucking scam, essentially. They know these things are gonna make it worse. You know, that's why they talk about racism. That's why they create a war on drugs and a war on poverty and all this bullshit.
And I get wanting to protect your mind and your energy and your, like, I get that, but I also, I don't know. And maybe, again, that's just, like, the social worker in me of, like...
Well, that's the problem, you know. If you don't share your perspective, then you let everybody fucking drown, which kills the world. And then you live in the world, so therefore you live in a fucking drowned world, even though you know, can on
your own.
Essentially the truth, right?
That made me, which I don't know if this is complete, whatever. It made me think about, because we were talking about books earlier today too, and like perspective, because like everybody, that's what, like Joel picked up the book and was like, what is this? Like, it's just a story. It's like this person's story. And so that also, I think, rings a bell as, like, maybe as people, we're not all necessarily needing to go out and speak and have these conversations to get perspectives out. But, like, for people like us who enjoy reading and pick up books very often, like, we are introducing ourselves to new perspectives all the time. And they're still going to be geared towards development and stuff, but, like, there's so much in one book that can, like...
I think a lot of the problem is the world has been diseased, essentially, with a fucking shit mindset. I mean, it's like a cancer, you know, like the whole concept of the transgender side of things. Like, it's a fucking cancer.
This is one of those moments where something that you say makes me want to throw up, because, yes, there is that in the world, but having that belief is so... I don't even know, like, weak, that, like, the world just sucks. So that's how it is. That is complete.
No, you just fucking cut off the piece of cancer. I mean, you don't kill the body, you cut the cancer.
There's so much good in this world too.
Oh, for sure, I understand, but you also have to be able to...
The world has been diseased.
Well, yeah.
It's also
the body has been
beautiful
diseased.
And thriving, flourishing.
Yeah. But you have to look at if you can look at the light, you have to be able to look at the dark. I mean, you can't just say, oh, then the weeds aren't growing, the weeds aren't growing, the weeds aren't growing.
Yeah, I'm not saying that at all, but I'm going to choose, I don't know, I guess the way that you said that just made me feel like you were like,
you have to be able to fucking pull out the weeds. No, the world's not screwed. I know how to fix the world. Let's just put all the fucking retards down. You know? Like, that would fix a lot of the stuff. And I know that's aggressive, but that's society. That is nature.
That's also a hypothetical that's literally never going to happen. So why don't we put, like, our time and energy and effort into...
You think that could never be a possibility? Let's look at World War II.
That's fine. That's good. That's not fine, obviously, because war is big business and, like, planned and propaganda and all this stuff.
My point is, it's already happened. It's going to happen again. But it's what disease, because that's the whole concept of Hitler, was like, you know, his perspective was the Jews are a fucking disease. And so they literally what are they called? Exterminated millions of Jews. Fucking, because they were like, fuck them. They're bad, whatever else. I guarantee you that'll happen again. There's no doubt in my mind at some point there's going to be, whether it's World War or another Civil War, which, you know, they keep continuing to talk about, which is it's a possibility. And then, you know, all these fucking retards are gonna come at you, and, you know, you're gonna have to put them down.
I guess. I guess in my mind, I was thinking like somebody is gonna just make this decision of who dies and who lives. But I guess in that form of like war or some sort of like survival of the fittest type situation.
Oh yeah, it's gonna.
That we've had those conversations, so that I get, I guess. But.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not talking about anybody just like. I'm talking about a natural thing. Like, essentially, like, even war is a natural thing. Like, you fucking have the hippo and the alligator or whatever. They go to war for the territory or whatever it is. You know what I mean? That's a natural thing. And now, you know, we're no different than the animals. So at the end of the day, like, eventually there will be war. Our war might look different than the Indians, and well, that's a perfect example. 2 Indian clans or something. And they come together and they try to, you know, conquer the river or the buffalo herd or whatever the case might be. I don't fucking know, but it's, you know, it's a concept that is a real thing, and that's the only way that this disease, and the disease will never be eradicated. Right. It'll always be there to some degree. It's just how big will you let the disease get before it either kills the whole body, kills the whole world, or before you turn around and decide to fight back. This philosophy is a disease, this perspective that, you know, and I wasn't even trying to make this a left versus right thing, because I don't even necessarily agree with everything the right wing. You know, that's just how it's, at the end of the day, it's gonna fall.
I'm open to that possibility. No, I mean, obviously something's happening, like.
Something's happening right now, and then it's inevitable. Something will always happen. It's a cycle. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I mean, we, like, as humans, we do have free will, so there's never going to be a point when all of us humans just have our shit together and we all get to just, like...
Yeah, yep.
Like, it's just not.
But there will be times of there'll be better times. You know, it's kind of like that cycle, you know, like weak men create hard times create weak men create hard times. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's hard times create strong men. Isn't like strong men create good times create weak men.
Yeah, and I think there's even a longer dialect to that too. But it's just a cycle. It's a natural cycle, and what's happening is, you know, we're getting to the point of, you know, the world being in such shit.
Well, the breaking point, right? Like,
yeah,
it's
we're
coming. Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming.
Whatever, crux. I don't know. Like right before it happens.
Yeah. We're at the tipping point of something happening. Either the individuals with a certain mind, with the pure mindset, will rise up and do something about it, and we're gonna have to fight back, and something's gonna happen, or we're just gonna be engulfed by the disease. So, and I don't think the disease is as big as what society makes it out to be, or what they think it is. I think it's just a small minority, and they're just very loud because of the stage they have, like media and, you know, shit like that. So I don't think it's really honestly as big as what they claim. I think it's just, the media and how they're able to share that perspective and get it in everybody's faces. So I do think there's a lot of people that, with this perspective of like, I don't really care though. You know, like the general Joe and Jane of the world, you know, they're just like, you know, I don't really care. They've got their blinders on. They're not paying attention. You know, they're just in their they're fat and happy. You know.
They're sleeping.
And, you know, which we're trying to wake you, if that's you. If you're sleeping.
Awakening warrior.
We're trying to awaken you. I don't like it, but it's the concept like, oh, I'm not trying to awaken, you know, the sheep. I'm trying to awaken the lions and blah, blah, blah. I think that's so corny and bullshit, but, like, I understand the concept
the other lions or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not trying to wake up the sheep. I'm trying to wake up the other lions, and, you know,
they'd already be awake if they were lions.
No.
Kind of, I guess. Yeah, because again, you might hear that one nugget from somewhere that, like,
Yeah, that turns you around. I think everybody's, yeah, I don't know. Not everybody has the potential to be a lion. It's just they fucking choose not to be. Because being a
Well, and at first I wanted to say it's not that they're choosing. It's not that they're choosing, but indecision is also a choice.
yeah, it's a tougher life, you know. Like having to be prepared and having to look at the darkness is a lot tougher than just saying, oh yeah, everything's fucking great and gravy and wonderful and everything's gonna be great for the rest of our lives and it's an incorrect perspective because it's not possible. It's not possible for everything to be perfect your whole life. So and then when you turn around and go from everything was so great and grand to there's a lot of darkness in the world. Like I'm not saying focus on it.
Well, right, and as somebody who, like earlier, I'm not saying ignore it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
there. I'm aware
Yeah, you
of
have
that.
to acknowledge it because especially being a man of this day, you have to be able to protect your family of this shit. You have to protect your family of the fucking devices and your kids and shit. Being on top of that because at this day and age, parents just as much as they're equally faulted. Don't have your fucking kids being babysitted by television and your phone and stuff like that. Even something simple like that. Like it's your job as a responsibility of a man. So I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, it's hard, and that's a challenging task because it's easy just to be like, here, stop fucking bugging me. Like here, and then you can go.
Dude, as soon as we turned on an episode for Xander, he was like,
Yeah, exactly.
like, oh my gosh, I can breathe.
Yeah, for sure. And we only used it, and that was an extreme example, extreme situation, and we only still used it when we had to. Like, I didn't want him, one, I didn't want him rewarded, and then two, I didn't think it was necessary to always do that all the time. So, and then on top of that, you look at, like, how, the government's fucking corrupt. Oh, your money is, being inflated to the point of, no existence. And then you look at everything like, oh shit, will there be diesel fuel next week? Oh well, will this person win the election? Will pot be legal? Will Medicaid or whatever be? All these things affect you. Regardless of whether you think it will or not, it will 100% affect you. And then you have to stare at the eyes of this because a lot of people don't even vote. They're not informed. They're not aware, and because they just choose to like be.
I have a hard time with the whole concept of voting anyway, but I get
Blind.
where you're coming at.
They just choose to be blind to it because it's easier to ignore something than to actually face it in the eyes and say like, all right, I'm gonna fucking deal with you. Like even addiction, like I told you about the other day, like the individual that drives around the block in order to not drive past the alcohol store. I think that's a weak ass individual. And I understand if you have to start that way, like to a degree, but 10 years later, you should not be driving or avoiding that liquor store, in my personal opinion.
Your perspective.
Yeah, my personal perspective.
To bring it back.
So, I think that's a weak way of going about life just to avoid all your bullshit. So, yeah. I like it when I do that.
Well, at first you went like this, and my eyes aren't even up there.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, for me, I just wanted to share like the concept to break it down, the simplest form. A lot of life is just about sharing perspective. Even you watching this video, like we are sharing our perspective. And now whether you hold on to that or not, that's a different story, but we are sharing it in also, for instance, us doing this, it strengthens or sharpens our capability of sharing our perspective. Whether it's to either influence you or into just sharing our perspective fully so you fully understand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, So there's two aspects of it. It might be to influence you for a better life or whatever else, but it also might just to be better storytellers almost.
Mm-hmm.
Better perspective sharers.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, if you just like to go back to like Ed Milet, Jesse Itzer, like they literally write books. They also have podcasts. They speak to people. Like they're very fluent in their own perspectives, whether or not they're changing or fluctuating or the same as they used to be or different. Like the ability to be able to just articulate that is a really good skill because, I mean, just conversating and being able to yeah, I think just even having conversations, like we had conversations earlier, like if we didn't know where we stood with stuff or what our perspective was or had this practice, like it would be different. And I think we're not perfect, obviously, we're not great, amazing at like holding a podcast and writing books and stuff, but it still has made
Yet.
That's true, I shouldn't be speaking like that. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, this is just as much for you as it is for us, and this has changed our perspective on, I mean, mine personally, just on my ability to show up and to say things in front of people and be
authentic.
Yeah, and also, like, put myself out there. Like, that used to be super scary for me, and at times it still can be, but I've gotten more comfortable in that space.
I remember when, were you there? I'm pretty sure you were there. When Wes asked me to go talk up on stage after my Day Chorus weekend.
I don't know if I was there when he asked.
Pretty sure, because we were both sitting at the table and he like crouched down by me and was like, hey, I want to ask you a favor. And or something like along those lines, right? And then he's like, I want you to speak to all these people about your weekend. And
oh, like, yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, at like a luncheon or so, whatever.
Yeah, yep. And that was a big scary moment for me. Like that was a big that was the first time. I mean, it was probably 100 people, give or take, maybe even more, 100, 150 maybe. And I was like, fuck, dude. I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, I don't want to do it. And the only reason I said yes was because I didn't want to do it, which is such an interesting perspective to me because I literally I will go out of the way and I will say yes because I don't want to do it. I'm like, fuck, I really don't want to do this, so I should better say yes. God gave me the opportunity to do this, so I'm like, maybe I should just fucking say yes. Whereas other individuals are like, cold baths. Every fucking person that I ever talk to is like, I can't believe you do that. That's so crazy. I can't believe... It's really not that fucking hard. The hardest part is getting in. And then once you get in, your body numbs and it's not so bad, But the fact that they can't even imagine doing that, and for me, it's what I do. I get up at 4 a.m. because it's what I do. I don't fucking get up because, it's cool. I don't give a fuck. I get up because that's what works best for me. Remember when we originally tried to, or I was like, all right, we're going to get up earlier. Because we didn't, before this 4 a.m. bullshit, all of it. Do you remember? We would get up whatever. And we kind of stay up late and whatever else, and we watch TV and, it's been a super long time, so it's probably, it's been years. It's been at least probably 2 or 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
So, but compared to where we were there and where we're at now, my perspective has radically changed. It's just what I do. It's just I get up at 4 a.m. It works incredibly. It works incredible for us. I used to get up 20 to 30 minutes before I had to be at work. And I'd get dressed, I wouldn't eat, and I'd go to work and I'd show up at fucking Continental. And that'd be it. And now my life is, a lot less chaotic because I am able to adjust my mornings.
It's interesting because thinking about taking that perspective, clearly a part of you had to believe in the fact that you could do that in order to do it to some degree. Even if it's dude, I can do that. Cold baths, a part of you has to believe it or else you wouldn't do it. And then because you had that perspective back then, we're now living the life that has been created from that.
Those habits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, kind of makes me think of growing perspective or something. And I don't know if I'm just feeling very visual today, but when you made that decision, it was the size of a pea, this perspective. But now we're full out living that
Yeah.
And now it's really big. I don't really know where I'm going with that. But.
Well, yeah, it's kind of each habit, I would say each habit gives you a slightly different perspective, right? lifting and going to the gym gives you a certain perspective, and then getting up at 4 a.m. Gives you a different perspective, and then reading gives you a huge perspective, and then what was the other one? Reading, gym, 4 a.m., cold bath. Gives you a different perspective.
Meditating, that's another wide open one.
Meditating gives you a different perspective. And so then your overall lens on each one of those gets a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, like, for instance, like if you go to the gym once and it's the first time you've ever gone to the gym and you didn't know shit about going to the gym, but then you hire a trainer or you go for a substantial amount of time, and then you basically learn more and more and more and more and more about how the body works. So your perspective from day one is here. You can just see through your peephole, right? You're looking through the door. And then you're able to, fucking get rid of the peephole and you're just looking through the door. And then you fucking go out and you look through the outside door and you can see the whole world. And then you and then you're in an airplane, you can see everything. You know what I mean?
Do you love how I gave you that example for you to run with?
Yeah, you're welcome. You threw it up.
You're welcome. That also, like, the perspective of the version of yourself also changes with each of those.
Oh, for sure. But also the combination of those perspectives, because they're like building blocks, like, I think the first thing for me personally was the gym. First and foremost. And then I think it was the reading. And then I think it was the 4 a.m. And then I think it was the meditating and then the cold baths. Or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
So, but all these things, because there's like a concept. We got a window here, right? And, you got this stack of money and the dude's too fucking high. And you got the books and, he's too low. Or no, where's the books? Books too low. And then, you know what I'm talking about? You got like 3 different dudes standing in front of the window.
Yeah, they're like different sized stacks.
Yeah, if you got all the money in the world, you're way too above, you can't see through the window. And then you got the dude with nothing, and then
he's just staring at a wall.
He's just staring at a wall, and then you got the dude with just the degree. I don't even know where he's standing. He's not standing. I don't know. But then you got dude with money and the books. And it wasn't even a degree. It was books. So fuck you people in college. It's books and money. So it's your education and your money. And I hate the word education because when I say education, a lot of people think of college.
Well, and that's also just in that example because there's so much more that
for sure, but
makes a well-rounded human.
No, but the basic of it is your education and your money, because you can have all the education in the world, but you can have no experiences because the money provides the experiences at the end of the day, whether we like it or not. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're not really like well versed in philosophy and the concepts and ideas, you're just a fucking miserable prick probably. So having a fine balance with money and education. Educational means, philosophies and, books for me. It means nothing of college. Then you get the perfect window view. You get the perfect perspective essentially. And you could also go to the perspective of the concept of I feel like I should be further. But that's a whole nother like different type of perspective, I think. You know what I mean? So somebody my age that doesn't have their own house and whatever else, like that dude Richard, you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Richard Fraser, Texas. Hooked me up with pots and pans and the hanging thing. Jesus. Fuck.
Yeah, that's how I know him.
I always tell you he's Richard Fraser.
Do you really? Every time?
Yeah. Fuck. Anyways. So, I forgot whatever. We were talking about something on Facebook, and he's like, dude, you're killing it. Or I was like, you're killing it. He's like, I'm killing it. He's like, you're the one with the house. And, you know, whether he knows my house at that time was paid off or not or whatever else, I'm like, well, not only do I have a house, I have my house paid off. You know, so like his perspective, because I think, you know, I don't know his exact age, but we're similar in ages. I bought some shit off of him, and then, you know, I added him because I liked his vibe, and, you know, basically like we go back and forth on Facebook here and there. And so, you know, his perspective was like, damn, dude, you got the house. And, like, I'm thinking, like, looking at, like, I should be a lot fucking further than this. You know, like, even that concept of perspective, just in general, like, knowing that he has that perspective of, like, wow, man, you got this house, and you've got, you know, I'm relatively well established. I never think I'm well established, but I'll just say that I'm relatively well established. Because society, if you look inside or look at me like, oh yeah, you gotta, you know, society would think I'm well established. But in my mind, I'm not well established at all. Like, I'm still just fucking, you know, not. But anyways, just him saying that shared his perspective with me and made me realize, like, I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, it changed my mind because I'm always thinking, like, how do I get further? I should be further and all this other shit. Whereas this dude, Richard, he's like, bro, you're killing the game.
Like, would love to be where you're at.
Yeah, would love to be where I'm at. And I'm like, well, fuck, maybe I should be happy where I'm at. Which, you know, for the most part I am, but...
Yeah, you should. I just posted that today. Be grateful for what you have because it makes it enough and more. And then the universe is going to give you more. Anyway, I wanted to go mind blown to a change of your perspective. Mine's coming out one side.
Mine's like explosion on the inside. So it was probably impacting here, but... But anyways, yeah. At the end of the day, be open to other people's perspective. Warner Earhart always talks about standing on the possibility. I'm not asking you to believe this. I'm not asking you to embody it. I'm just asking if you can stand on the possibility of it. And
so good.
That's I don't know how to fucking explain that. I mean, it pretty much explains itself in my personal opinion. So, you know, like, can you stand on the possibility? Like, and if you can't, okay, whatever, you're probably missing out, you know? Like, there are certain things you probably shouldn't stand on the possibility of, you know? Like...
True.
But, you know, a lot of things...
If somebody's asking you that, though, it's probably not one of those things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I would agree with that. Odds are it's not one of those things, unless you're talking to a liberal, then it might be. But even they wouldn't have the intelligence to come up with that kind of stuff. So, philosophy.
Hurry up, your cat wants out.
I think that's it, honestly.
That is it.
I
think we're wrapped.
Yeah.
Wrapping.
Yeah, for sure. We're wrapping it up.
In our new office, because we finally have a desk.
Yeah. This has been a long journey. We still don't even have all the furniture. We've been here for 4 weeks. 5 weeks? 5 weeks now. So, but I'm not in any huge rush. It's not that big of a deal. We had a big win on Friday. Got a lot of shit done. Started going to the chiropractor again. Oh my God, my back. Made it feel a lot better for the day of, and then today it's kind of rough. So.
My armpit thing's getting up. It's a lot better than yesterday.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure it was from that. My body was probably freaking out.
Sure, everybody wants to hear more about your armpit thing. Please, elaborate it.
I just had a swollen lymph node in my armpit. And I was like, could that have happened from our adjustment? Which I Googled it, and obviously Google has a lot to say, but I'm like, it really could have, because we didn't have an adjustment for like 5 weeks, which was a lot for us, because we'd had one at least every week for the past 2 years, or at least every other week even for like the past 2 years.
Yeah. Good chiropractic care, by the way, like top notch, top of the line. Like, I will never go back to subpar.
Okay. Wrapping it up.
Anyways, thanks for joining us. Go check us out on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Feel free to follow our pages. Ring the bell. Like our videos, share our videos if you got any like use out of it. You know, we do this just as much for ourselves as you guys. You know, originally when we started this, we started it this year, right? Beginning of this year.
Mhm.
So we just wanted to share our journeys and what we learned basically all in one spot. You know, because we have so much knowledge and influence in our lives. Basically, we wanted to offer that to everybody else in one centralized location, for everybody else to benefit. So, you know.
And soon we'll get microphones again because I think they will make a world of a difference with our sound quality. But it's just hasn't been a priority.
Yeah.
But it's on the back of my mind, and every time I go to do these, I'm like,
Theoretically, in the next few months, we'll have our own podcast space downstairs, in the library / meditation room. Just started very, very baby steps on getting that started building out. But any progress is good progress. So cool. Thanks for joining us, guys. See ya.
bye.